On Authentic Ag, we wrap up our conversation with agriculture law professor Dr. Roger McMullen. Now, with all these payments being paid out to agriculture producers, occasions that may or may not trigger a taxable event. We'll also have features from Kansas corn, Kansas wheat, and our weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors. This is Authentic Ag.
Brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919. KFB.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
In agricultural news from agview.net, the Trump administration has announced the rollout of the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, or CFAP. It will provide up to $16 billion in direct payments to farmers and ranchers. USDA will be accepting applications from those who suffered losses of 5% or more. These funds come from the $9.5 billion appropriated funding provided the CARES dedicated to agriculture and $6.5 billion from the Commodity Credit Corporation. Farmers will receive a combined total from CPAP and the CCC of 95 cents per bushel for soybeans, 67 cents for corn, and the payment rate for cattle, $247 a head for slaughter cattle, $171 a head for feedlot cattle over 600 pounds, $45 for hogs under 120 pounds. Now, there is payment limitations of $250,000 per person or entity, and producers will receive 80% of their maximum total payment upon approval of the application. The remaining portion of the payment will be paid later. Producers can apply through their local Farm Service Agency office. Applications will be accepted through August 28th of this year. Additional information in the application forms can be found online, farmers.gov/CFAP. And a new proposal circulating among cattle producers and lawmakers in D.C. would create a program to fund placing cattle on a maintenance diet while the industry waits for slaughter capacity to return to normal. The Fed Cattle Set-Aside program, modeled after a similar program that was implemented in Canada following the BSE crisis. This program was developed by Beef Alliance, which is a coalition of large commercial feeders from across the country. Members are AgriBeef, Cactus Feeders, Five Rivers Cattle Feeding, and Friona Industries. The Beef Alliance estimated to represent about 25% of the total U.S. fed cattle inventory. Now, by placing the feedlot cattle on a maintenance diet for 75 days, the Fed Cattle Set-Aside program would try to alleviate the risk of even greater economic collapse of the beef industry. This program was developed with the help of CattleFax, utilizing USDA data. With cattle harvest estimated at 30 to 40% below 2019 levels, the beef industry is finding an unprecedented challenge. It'll take time to work through. Analysts are estimating for the 5 weeks or so, 150,000 to 250,000 head of cattle were carried forward. The backlog of fed cattle estimated to be now about 1 million head. Find more ag information online anytime, agview.net. Commodity updates and Washburn School of Law professor Dr. Roger McMullen when we return. Stay with us.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer it and work with you.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Kansas Farm Bureau has served farm families and rural Kansas for more than 100 years, and we're pleased to offer new healthcare coverage choices for Kansans in 2020 through Kansas Farm Bureau health plans. No matter what stage of life you're in, we'll have options that fit your lifestyle. Plus, our network of providers is one of the largest available throughout the state of Kansas and beyond. For more information, including the different plans available, or to get a quote, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org.
And our guest again is Dr. Roger McMullen, who is the Kansas Farm Bureau Agricultural Law and Taxation Specialist at the Washburn School of Law. And Roger, there's been almost another alphabet soup of things coming out of USDA and the federal government to help agriculture. One of those that is continuing to bring a lot of questions is, does agriculture qualify, and what would be some of the ramifications for the PPP?
Yeah, the Paycheck Protection Program, actually, it's a Small Business Administration program, but yes, agriculture does qualify. There was some initial concern about that. Normally, SBA doesn't deal with agriculture. Historically, they haven't. That's a USDA issue. Farmers, we don't deal with farmers, and so there was a little bit of reluctance. But the statute said all businesses, it didn't make a distinction between two, and so they had to be shown that, yes, agriculture does count. And it will not. I've had this question come up too. Once they qualified, then apparently some lenders were telling them, well, it's going to diminish or eliminate your ag subsidies. No, it won't. And you won't be able to get any of the other ag-related provisions in other parts of the emergency legislation. No, there's no basis for that either. So farmers should not be concerned about that. One of the major problems that's out there, and there are a few areas of uncertainty that we're still trying to get clarified, and I hope we get them clarified before the funds run out again in this program, and that is, what if you show a loss on the Schedule F? Because the way the guidelines read, it says they're looking at a particular line on Schedule C or Schedule F. It's line 31 on a Schedule C for a non-farm business, line 34 on a Schedule F. And SBA is sticking by their guns that has to be a positive number. And well, for farmers, of course, the big issue is a lot of them haven't had a positive number on the Schedule F for a number of years. And with the change in the rule with respect to equipment trades that started in 2018, none of that income routes through a Schedule F anymore. So you could have a lot of income, but it's going through a different form, the Form 4797. And as we speak right now, SBA is still taking the position that you can't reconcile that on a Schedule F, and so none of that income is going to count. And so the only way you would qualify for a PPP loan is to take 1/2 of your payroll costs. Well, then if you don't have payroll as an individual sole proprietor, that's a problem. Then theoretically you're out of luck with respect to the PPP. And we also don't know whether rental income that's not reported on a Schedule F is eligible. The SBA says it's not. So if I've got a passive cash lease or I've got a non-material participation share lease, I may have significant rental income, but it's not running through a Schedule F, so I'm not eligible. And we also have issues with respect to partnerships and tiered partnerships, and their position now is commodity wages don't count. But basically they're saying anything that's not subject to SE tax is not going to count as eligible. And then of course on the forgiveness side, on the back end, you've got to use 75% of your loan proceeds to apply to payroll, be eligible for full forgiveness. And if you don't meet that threshold, then a less percentage of the loan is going to be forgiven. So there are a whole lot of issues that are out there. We hope to get clarification and maybe convince SBA to change their mind on some of this.
Dr. Roger McMullen is an ag law specialist at the Washburn School of Law. Let's take a break. We'll continue our conversation in just a moment.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
And our guest is Dr. Roger McMullen, the Kansas Farm Bureau Professor of Ag Law and Taxation at the Washburn School of Law. We've talked a lot about this payroll protection payment that now agriculture has been eligible for, but going through the SBA, something that agriculture isn't used to. And it's one of those things that you probably better make sure you truly have that need before you take that money, because there is no such thing as free money, really, is there?
Well, that's exactly right, Ken, and probably the viewers remember a few weeks ago there was an uproar about a couple of some major universities that they wanted the money back from. That said you shouldn't have taken the money, and then I think it was Shake Shack and another type of business that were fairly prominent in the news saying, well, you didn't really need this money, why don't you pay it back? Well, coming out of that, SBA has said that we're going to increase our audit activity. You better show us that you actually need this money for cash flow purposes or to pay your employees to retain them. And they're going to audit these. And so I would say with respect to a farming operation, if you're a cash grain farmer and you already had your lines of credit secured before all the virus stuff hit, and you're rolling along and you're planting and then you applied for a loan, you better be careful. They're going to be looking at you to be able to, you're going to have to prove that you actually needed it. You may have a hard time since you already had your credit lines in place, you already had your inputs maybe pre-purchased last fall for tax purposes. That's going to be tough. Now for a dairy operation, for example, I think it's easier for them to show, I need this for payroll, or any type of farm business where you actually have more labor intensive than a row crop operation. So it's the types of things we need to watch for.
Before we let you go, what about, we keep hearing of some of these folks that had contracts for either cattle or hogs that the processor backed out. What's their recourse?
Well, first thing to do is look at your contract, and I'd say get it to a good ag attorney that deals with ag contracts to look at it, and it may have a clause in it that we call a force majeure clause. I wrote an article on this. It's posted on my blog on April 17, so people can go look at that. But basically, that's a clause that says, in addition to acts of God, such as weather, which is what we normally think of, is if there's some type of governmental action, there's a war, there's something that the government says that would invalidate your contract, then I don't have to perform. And so you want to look there. If that clause is not in there, then we look to common law and maybe such common law doctrines as frustration of purpose, or it just doesn't make any sense anymore because my market is gone. Ethanol market is gone. Dairy market is gone. So they're not buying corn, they're not buying milk, they're not buying hogs because the processing plant is down. So you got to look first to the contract language, see what it says. Maybe there's an out. I know some attorneys that are invoking force majeure clauses on behalf of farmers to get the farmers out of the contracts, and they've never done that before. One fellow called me and after he read my article and said, "I practiced 38 years and have never had to do this. Found your article on the web, and I'm going to invoke it on behalf of 3 farm clients." So it's a big issue that's out there, and largely for many practitioners and farmers, it's uncharted waters. So hopefully they can find that article helpful and get some good legal help.
All right, Roger, thanks for joining us. Lots of interesting things. I'm sure we'll do this again.
Thank you, Ken.
Roger McMullen, who is Kansas Farm Bureau Professor of Agriculture Law and Taxation at the Washburn School of Law, has joined us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Kansas Corn is excited to launch the 2020 Kansas Corn Yield Contest. We again have 10 districts across the state, so the 9 crop reporting districts, and then a northeast for Doniphan and parts of Brown and Atchison County. And what that does is it allows farmers to compete against farmers that are growing in the same conditions as those in their area. And we provide awards, cash prizes for both dryland and irrigated, top 3 winners in each of the 10 districts, so up to 30 prizes across the state. And also then a statewide prize for the highest dryland and highest irrigated. We're really excited to have this as our 3rd year. We think we've also learned a lot from those entries. We take that information and partner with K-State Research and Extension and put together an analysis of what some of those top performing farms and farmers are doing and how other farmers can learn from them. The Corn Yield Contest in 2020 is free again to the Kansas Corn Growers Association members. So as long as you're a member, you can register for free. You do need to register online by August 31st, and you can do that at kscorn.com/yield. And once you register, you can enter up to 3 fields. So it is separate from the National Corn Yield Contest, but you can enter the same fields. So 2 separate contests, but you can use your same entries. It's just important to make sure you register. We hope to have farmers from across all 10 of our districts compete again this year in our Corn Yield Contest. And good luck to everyone as we enter into another crop growing season.
I'm Bob Swartz, and I've devoted the last 43 years to helping Kansans reach their retirement goals and to protect the family farm. At Bob Swartz Financial, we believe everyone should be able to live the retirement they've always dreamed of. Our team of professionals can help you create an efficient strategy using a variety of investment vehicles to help you address your financial needs and your concerns. Bob Swartz Financial values commitment and transparency.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know-to-Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Total precipitation received across Kansas during the 2020 wheat growing season is anywhere from 5 inches below normal to close to normal in central and western Kansas. Meanwhile, a more short-term analysis from January 1 to present suggests that the region mostly affected by winter and spring drought is north central Kansas, which is up to 4 inches behind in precipitation accumulation for the period. Several wheat fields in north central Kansas and the western third of the state are showing symptoms of short-term drought stress, including leaf rolling and loss of older, lower leaves and a blue canopy coloration. In western Kansas, many fields are showing long-term symptoms of drought stress, including extremely reduced plant height and maturity acceleration. Many of the fields are achieving later stages of development at only 9 to 15 inches tall due to the prolonged stress. The combination of a severe fall drought in southwest Kansas, followed by freeze damage on April 13th, plus spring drought, has led many southwest Kansas growers to abandon their wheat fields and terminate them to plant a summer crop. Stripe rust is also showing up across the state. There is evidence that disease incidence is increasing at some locations, and producers should continue their scouting efforts. Spread within a field and symptoms that have moved to the upper canopy may warrant a fungicide application. Infected upper leaves are most likely to result in yield loss. It is important to remember that there is a lag between when new leaves are infected and when they start to show symptoms. The severity of symptoms is dependent on weather conditions and favors temperatures between 50 and 60 degrees with high humidity.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer it and work with you.
In an effort to continually equip producers with the skills and techniques necessary to communicate the intricacies of beef production and the supply chain to the general public, the Kansas Beef Council recently hosted a virtual advocacy workshop. The in-depth training was geared toward college students at Kansas State University and Fort Hays State University. During the workshop, Ryan Goodman, Director of Advocacy and Spokesperson Development with NCBA, a contractor to the Beef Checkoff, shared effective ways to connect with a general public that is increasingly searching for more information about where their food comes from. Through this training and the advocacy resources provided by KBC and the Masters of Beef Advocacy program, these students now are better equipped to communicate with modern consumers and combat misinformation generated by activist organizations. Producers are a trusted source for consumers, and with people currently spending more time at home and searching for information about where their food comes from, the need for farmers and ranchers to effectively share positive and factual information about the beef industry is vital. Events like these are an important step to linking consumer questions to producer answers. To view more demand-building programs conducted by the Kansas Beef Council, visit kansasbeef.org.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Good morning. I'm Derek Hermish with Paragon Ag, a division of Keiko Isom. This week saw an interesting development in the grain markets where we had details released about the new government stimulus program, we'll call it CFAP for the abbreviated version, of what the detailed payout is going to be due to the coronavirus effects from this year, but on 2019 production only. And the way they based it, it's either 50% of your 2019 production total on corn and soybeans. There is no payment for wheat, corn, soybeans, and milo, what we will discuss, or 50% of the 2019 production, or what you had in inventory under your ownership as of January 15th, whichever number is smaller. And the numbers that you will get payment-wise be 33.5 cents a bushel for corn, what it amounts to, 33.5 cents a bushel for corn, 47.5 cents a bushel on soybeans, and 32.5 cents a bushel on sorghum. Now, what you do with that is your business, but as far as somebody that has old crop left, it certainly could and probably should influence marketing decisions from here. We're in a time frame where holding on to old crop a lot longer could be dicey. As we go along, we've had a good start weather-wise, not really anything to be bullish about, doesn't mean something won't pop. But if perhaps influencing where we're all going to have to get accustomed to some lower prices more than likely this year, having some options at your disposal, the use of puts and calls, could be something that could work into a lot of people's marketing plans this year, more so than what they've used in the past. And if that's something you're interested in learning about, do give us a call here at Paragon at 888-452-8751. Thanks.
Well, that's our show this week. If you have questions, concern, or even some suggestions, email me, Ken Rogers, at ken@agview.net. Well, we're ready to start June. That means wheat harvest right around the corner, homegrown produce, and summer fun with family and friends. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Authentic Ag.
Kansas Farm Bureau has served farm families and rural Kansas for more than 100 years, and we're pleased to offer new healthcare coverage choices for Kansans in 2020 through Kansas Farm Bureau health plans. No matter what stage of life you're in, we'll have options that fit your lifestyle. Plus, our network of providers is one of the largest available throughout the state of Kansas and beyond. For more information, including the different plans available, or to get a quote, visit kfbhealthplans.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agamandkansas.com.